Chapter 3, the cosmic scheme, clearing the way. The cosmic scheme and its laws seek not to punish you, make you pay for sins, or try to force you to comply with destiny. They seek only to give perfection, and they never fail in this. Your beliefs are the key, for not only have they shaped your life so far, they will continue to do so. So, what is to be done to improve matters? The answer lies in two areas and is not as difficult as you may think. The first course of action is to realize that your existing beliefs do indeed have a powerful effect on your life. Think carefully about your beliefs, especially with regard to money and possessions. The more you think about this, the more you will be surprised at the negative ideas you hold within your mind. Some of you will recognize immediately. Others will take time to make themselves known. But if you persist, you will know the truth about these things. And more importantly, you will then be able to rid yourself of them. How? Once the truth dawns, it is like a breath of fresh air. It fires you up and spurs you on to bigger and better things. As a result, the old beliefs give way to the new, and of course, the subconscious responds accordingly. Among the beliefs which should be discarded in favor of reality are: one, believing in fate, bad luck, or the way of things. Two, believing that poverty is a way to spiritual evolvement. Three, believing that you are cursed by someone. Four, believing that God or some other entity hates you, is trying to make you learn lessons, or simply couldn't care less if you starve to death. Five, believing that you have no choice in the matter. Six, believing that you are not good enough for wealth or that you don't have the necessary qualifications or what it takes to be wealthy. Seven, believing in socialist ideas such as wealth sharing. For example, the lazy clods are propped up by the hard workers, the evils of capitalism. In other words, let's take all the incentive out of life and the inevitable herd instinct mentality that kills off individuality. Eight, believing that it is necessary to work yourself to death in a boring job while looking forward to retirement if you are lucky, or redundancy. Nine, believing that money falls from trees. 10, believing that Lucky Charms or instant magic books are the way out. In order to increase your money supply, it is first necessary to look at the reasons for its apparent lack. It is important to look at these reasons because they are causes of lack. So resist the temptation to either skimp through this chapter in order to get to the secret or ignore these ideas, presuming that they are not important. Have patience and think about the ideas presented to you for the simple reason that it is not just a question of learning how to acquire more money. It is also vital that you understand what the problems are, why they happen, and how to prevent them from standing in the way of continued success. There is an old magical truth which states that it is not just a question of learning how to contact and use power. It is also a case of unlearning faulty concepts, ideas, and ideals. This is just as true with life as it is with magic. So take heed. Learn all or risk failure. As you proceed through these pages, you will see that the real problem lies not in the external forces, apparently beyond your control, but in a more subtle place within your own mind. Attitudes of mind is what makes magic work because attitudes, beliefs, and dominant thoughts determine what has already happened and, more important, what will happen in the future. Within each one of you is a powerful part of your mind, knowing no limits and capable of achieving whatever you desire if you know how to use it. The full understanding and use of inner mind capabilities is known as the science of magic. In this book, you will learn enough of this science to guarantee freedom from lack of money, providing that you take the time and trouble to think about and then apply the truths given. That's a good place for us to pause and kind of talk about what he's actually bringing up right here, which is so good. And I hope that you all were able to really receive what I was just reading. What he was basically speaking of is so what he is basically saying, y'all, is that there are, of course, beliefs that we have that are stopping us from manifesting the abundance, but really the life in general that we desire to have. And so what is most important as we are on this journey to building wealth, as we are on this journey of manifestation and creation and all of that stuff like that, what's most important is that we first understand what thoughts, what beliefs are actually blocking us from um, the manifestation.
Yeah.
Okay. And so, because a lot of times we want to, so what we're basically talking about is, there are certain thought processes, there are certain, experiences that have shaped how we feel about abundance, which is what's actually standing in the way. And so we're talking about clearing the way. And I want to hear from y'all. What are some of y'all's thought processes that you've had to work through? And the reason why I want to hear from y'all is because in order for you to start transforming anything, you have to be able to give voice to it. You have to be able to speak it. You have to be able to admit it. And so for me, one of my wealth blockages was this idea that my mother used to say is money don't grow on trees, meaning don't just go spend your money frivolously. Don't enjoy your life. Don't do extra stuff with your money. Use your money for what you need, and really that's it, because it don't grow on trees, so you can't just get it whenever you want it. You know what I mean? So you have to work hard for it. And then the opposite of what he just said in the book is money doesn't, we got to end this idea that money falls off of trees and that there's no internal work that we need to do in order to, manifest. I also used to believe that I haven't been through enough to manifest abundance. I know sometimes people, especially when you grow up kind of, hard in rough neighborhoods, you think that it is normal to have to struggle, to have to experience all of these toxic situations in order for you to be worthy enough of having enough money, or of having wealth, right? Of having more than enough, of having an abundant amount of money. That used to be kind of my idea. So those are my two. Anybody else care to share what some of their beliefs are or were that they know that they're working through to be able to attract more abundance?
I think one limited belief that I used to carry with myself was uh uh I wasn't good enough. You know what I'm saying?
Mm,
Because
Yeah.
I never felt I never felt like that I had a lack of like abundance or anything like that. I got just used to spend, but I never really believed in my mind that I used to think in my head like, man, am I able to do this and da 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 da. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
So even though I was like one of the star basketball players and all this other stuff, in my mind, I'm just thinking, oh, well, that's my athletic ability. Oh, that's just my innate gift and all of that. But eventually I had to eradicate that and say, well, yeah, yes, I am. You see what I'm saying? You
Yeah.
you can't play the victim because you're trying to play small.
That's a
You
big
have
one.
to play big. You see what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Everybody has to play big. Everybody has to play big.
Yeah.
You have to get that in your mindset that I take up space, right?
Mm.
Like, and you said, babe, you take up space, right? We are huge. We're gods, goddesses. So until
Mm.
we nail that action down, then we'll always keep on thinking in the back of our head, is this really me? You know, and
Yeah. Yeah. Really understanding that, and I appreciate you saying that, because that was a real thing for me. And I still be having these moments of like, damn, am I really channeling this information? Am I really receiving these downloads? Am I really this dope? Am I really this awesome? So that second guessing of our innate capabilities, that second guessing of our innate power, our innate ability to create, you know. So that's awesome. Ethan, you got your hand up. Go ahead and unmute yourself.
Oh no, I was going to say that when he's listing all the wealth limiting ideas, that the one for me was I can just work hard out of a situation. So like
Mm-hmm.
at first I was working one job and then things got tough. So then I took on two jobs and things got a little tougher. And then I started working three jobs and I started to realize like maybe adding more work to the situation is not going to
Right.
fix the situation. You can't work yourself hard out of the situation, but because I'm just taking on what my father did, and then the belief system that my mother had was it's always
Right.
something. So you're always within reach of some type of like wealth, but you'll never get it because you don't think you deserve it, as Dreamwives was mentioning.
Right.
So it's almost like you're limiting yourself because you think you're limited. So
Mm.
like I always run into that idea is like, if I just do something, I can do Forex for like 3 weeks and then I can re-up and be all right. Or I can
Mm-hmm.
learn this wealth management really quick and then re-up real fast and get really quick. But I wasn't willing to put in the hard work in other ventures. I was only willing to work hard on things that I'm comfortable with that I'm already
Mm.
doing. So that's why I'm here now, because I want to listen to people so I can like stick to the work. And that's all you
Right.
hear in all these different channels and lectures. And everybody keeps saying the same thing, whether it's Miss Blue, Panic, Dream, everybody's saying the same thing. Just you have to
Mm-hmm.
put in the work. So now it's like I have to force myself to like write in like 5-6 journals before I go home from work and like
Mm-hmm.
really get up and actually do the things that I'm supposed to do. So that's the thing
Yeah.
I was going to put down. That's all.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. And that's so true. And that goes in anything. When it comes to this spiritual work and this spiritual transformation, it all boils down to consistency. It all boils down to a discipline. Like, we can't be one hitter quitters and think that we're going to accomplish this goal. We can't think that us simply just reading this book is going to put us in position. No, we have to apply the principles over an extended amount of time and watch how they unveil certain things to us and watch how they actually manifest certain things into our lives. So it's about really deciding that I'm not comfortable where I am. Though it feels comfortable to my human, to my ego, this is comfortable because this is my norm. But within my spirit, I know that there's more. And therefore, on the spirit soul level, I am uncomfortable. And so I have to want this new reality more than I want to stay the same. And because I want my new reality more than I want to stay the same, I am willing and I am able to get uncomfortable within my daily habits so that I put myself in position to transform my mind and therefore change my situation. Sierra, I'm going to tell you to unmute, but hold on one second, because we got a lot of new people that came in, right? And I want to just go back and reread some of these limiting beliefs just to trigger some of the new people who have come in. So y'all hold on one tight, hold on 1 minute, and let me tell y'all the limiting beliefs that Philip Cooper has listed, and then we'll come right back to Sierra and then whoever else wants to add in, right? So the first limiting belief is believing in fate, bad luck, or the way of things. Number 2, believing that poverty is a way to spiritual evolvement. Number 3, believing that you are cursed by someone. Number 4, believing that God or some other entity hates you, is trying to make you learn lessons, or simply couldn't care less if you starve to death. Number 5, believing that you have no choice in the matter. Number 6, believing that you are not good enough for wealth, or that you don't have the necessary qualifications or what it takes to be wealthy. Number 7, believing in socialist ideas such as wealth sharing. For example, the lazy clods are propped up by the hard workers. The evils of capitalism. In other words, let's take all the incentive out of life and the inevitable herd instinct mentality that keeps off individuality. So that means following the crowds, not being yourself. Number 8, believing that it is necessary to work yourself to death in a boring job while looking forward to retirement, if you are lucky, or redundancy. Number 9, believing that money falls from trees. Number 10, believing that Lucky Charms or instant magic books are the way out. So those are the 10 limiting beliefs that he just mentioned. I'm pretty sure there's more. Go ahead, Sierra.
Peace, fam. This is so good. So good. D-Ray, I love that you touched on being comfortable in your discomfort. There's this poem that I wrote a few years back. I'm going to drop it in the Geneva app. And it's literally called Comfortably Uncomfortable. And it's really just us stewing in our discomfort. But it's like we're so comfortable with that discomfort that, you know, we won't just put it down and walk out of it because we know it so well. So I'm going to share that. But yeah, all these points were just so spot on. And personally, I've been like a detective of my neuroses. Like I'm reading this love and psychology book right now that was written in like the 70s. It's called The Road Less Traveled. And I essentially came to the realization that for myself, and then once I see it in myself, I can see it in the collective, that a lot of us have just rebranded our neuroses and put some sort of spiritual lingo and jargon on top of it, or some sort of spiritual mask on top of neuroses. It really is varying degrees of mental illness that we're not dealing with. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So, for example, one thing that I used to always say as a teen, literally, it was like my mantra. I'm the queen of repression. I'm the queen of repression. And I used to say this shit and laugh about it. My friends would laugh and they'd be like, girl, da, 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 da. Like I would just boast, like I'm the queen of repression. And then as I got older and I had to start facing these demons, it was just like, baby girl, you were the queen of repression. And now all your demons are going to come out and look you in your face because you kept pressing them down. So in terms of wealth, the more that we're repressing and not facing these neuroses within ourselves, we're blocking out pleasure, we're blocking out pain, we're blocking out wealth, we're blocking out lack. We're blocking everything out and saying that I'm on a spiritual journey, when in actuality, you're really not, because you're not facing a part of yourself. The spiritual journey is holistic, you know? So I felt like the whole rebranding neuroses thing was big in terms of what he was saying. And the first point that he made was like this idea that fate or this is just the way things are, you know, there's nothing we could do about it. In this day and age, again, because we have so much information and spiritual jargon, we wouldn't walk around being like, well, it's just fate, you know, with this defeatist attitude. But now we're calling it generational curses. We're not calling it fate anymore. We're saying that, oh, this is the curse on my bloodline. This is this or that. But in the bottom, you know, at the end of the day, we're still putting it outside of us. Like we have no control over these things. I think it's important to face the quote unquote generational curse. I'm not saying that's not real, but face it. And then how are you going to transform and transmute it? You know, instead of just giving that almost fate title.
Right.
And then, and then one other thing I wanted to touch on was he said, it's not just about learning or achieving any sort of power, but learning how to utilize it with an unfaulty manner. Like, I feel like, again, a lot of us come from really shaky foundations and not the healthiest, you know, maybe upbringings or whatever. So we learn how to make shit work. We learn how to scrap things together, stretch a dollar, you know, make it do what it do. Like, and then we carry that into our spiritual work. So it's like, I'll do a ritual here, then I won't. I'll read this book here, then I won't. And I feel like it's almost like what Ethan was saying, like not feeling the consistency in your work, and instead just piecing shit together and saying that that's your practice when it's not a practice. It's just chaos, not in a good way. So so I feel like finding a law within yourself, writing your own law instead of just piecing shit together, which is just leaving you scattered in a bunch of different directions. But yeah, this is really good. It's triggering a lot.
That's super powerful, Sierra. You said a lot of very intuitive, powerful stuff, because it is so true. When we talk about generational curse, we talk about abundance, we talk about, I know both Dream and I come from families of, work hard, grind, go to work hard. And even that idea, what we're seeing right now, especially in this day and time, is that abundance and wealth is something that is very much so possible. But we have this quote unquote curse, but it's really a belief system that says, if you got you a job that's paying you 50,000, 60,000 a year, you good. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's not about generational curse. Really stem from generational belief systems, generational actions, generational emotions. So it really when you change your mind, the experiences of your mother, your grandmother, your father, your grandfather, those experiences change. You manifest the same realizations of them because you think as they thought, because you feel how they felt, because you act in the same ways that they act. So that's powerful. And then I really love what you said about the spiritual practice and writing your own law. It's so true. It's so accurate. And I think that's one thing that I'm grateful for Dream and I with creating this Patreon, is that we give you a lot of information for you to kind of, experience with. And here's the thing, y'all, it's not just about receiving knowledge. It ain't about the book. It's about the application of the wisdom bestowed in the book. And when you apply it and you see how it affects your life, now you say, okay, that works for me. That works for me. That didn't work for me. I'm going to keep this up, and this is going to become a regular part of my life. Okay, which is what I'm going to be creating in the Sacred Sister Circle. It's a spiritual practice, because as spiritual men and as spiritual women, you need a practice. You need something consistent. You need something that you tune into. But you also need the heightened awareness to know when something that you've been practicing, when something that you've been doing is no longer manifesting the same results, because you've bled all the energy out of that one system. So now you need to go back to the drawing board of learning, studying, and applying. So thank you for that. Viola.
Yes. Hi, Dere. Hi, Dream. How you doing, everybody, family?
Hey.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you great. We hear you clearly.
Okay, great. It's listening to everyone, I tell you, and I'm learning so much. And, what came to my mind is there was a story you heard about when people tend to go to prison and stay there for such a long period of time, right? And then when they come out, somehow or another, they end up going back in.
Yeah.
And it's because even though the body has been free, but the mind was conditioned to whatever the last 10 years, 20 years, etc. So because the body was free, the mind took them right back there, even though they were free. And that was something that I came to realization for myself, because, even though things would like go out, life, and then all of a sudden there was a period where there was a downfall that, financially, no matter what I did, 2 decades, et cetera, et cetera. But what I had, I guess, subconsciously, unconsciously didn't know is that, let's say when the cloud cleared, because subconsciously I was in a pattern of, so that when the cloud cleared, that subconsciously I was still in that failure. You see, and so when that brought back to my mindset, I was like, wow, that's what they mean by that. The body can be free, but if the mind is not free and the mind is still operating in the condition it was operating in the past, you will think you're still in it.
Yeah.
And that was an aha moment for myself. So, learning a lot, from what you guys are reading, your YouTube, etc., has really transformed, my life in such a major way that I'm now seeing the results, the fruit of my labor. Whereas before, you think you and everything is timing, everybody in space is different. And I remember one of the things that I heard Dr. Sabi said, when he was getting about the healing and the herbs, and he was so excited about it, and he's telling everybody, and he couldn't understand why they weren't getting it. And it's like, what is going on with the people? And then he said one night his spirit spoke to him and said, hey, he realized, wait a minute, everybody doesn't fall asleep at the same time, and everybody doesn't awaken at the same time. Everybody's timing is different. So that was, something that really helped me to see, sometimes we beat ourselves up. It's like, what is it that I'm doing wrong or not doing right? And it's just timing.
Yeah.
Just
timing
like, D. Ray was saying, time is everything. As long as we keep doing, application and being consistent. And that's one of the things I was not being consistent, because sometimes, when things would get so rough, you just, throw in the towel. It's like, oh God, and you just, pundle and suffer more than you like. I can't suffer more than you pick up like dreams, your tools, and you keep going again, and then you get knocked back down. But one of the things that I've learned, listening to Dream and D. Ray, is being consistent on your work. And now that I'm learning to be consistent, I'm not seeing, but feeling first, right? And internally, and then seeing, physically, and then, there's still more work to do. But I can honestly say, it's a difference from 100%.
Beautiful.
So just want to thank everybody here.
Thank you for that share, Viola. And very factual statement again. You can take they say what is that saying? You can take somebody out the hood. You can take them out the hood, but you can't take the hood out of them.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So
Mm-hmm.
I totally understand that ideology, and it definitely happens with wealth. It definitely happens with abundance, and we see it when, let's say, them tax returns come.
Yes.
When tax returns come, you up a couple thousand. Let's say you got kids, so you up 8, 6, 9. How many kids you got? You up a couple thousand, and then before you know it, your bank account is back looking like how it looked before that tax return, because you did not have the skill, you didn't have the understanding, you didn't have the know-how of how to manage money, how to multiply money. Okay. And so in everything that you do, and I'm gonna post a mini clip on YouTube of this, what I'm about to tell y'all. But in anything that you are becoming, it takes studying, it takes learning, it takes application. So even if you hit the lottery, we see it all the time. People hit the lottery, they become a millionaire. Before the year ends, they back where they was. Okay. So what we're doing here is addressing the psychology, because when we address the psychology, then we transform the physical. And Viola, you said something so important. I want us to be clear on. I want you to understand. You have to be able to see the vision first.
Yes.
Imagination comes first. This goes for everybody. Imagination comes first. Being able to see what your abundant life looks like, that comes first. Being able to see what your healthy, happy life looks like within the mind's eye. But see, if you can't even see that, then that just goes to show you, and I'm not talking to you specifically, Viola, I'm talking to everybody. If you cannot see that, then that goes to show you the cloudiness, that goes to show you all of the false beliefs, the false perceptions that have covered your mind, that have covered your spiritual eye, to where you can't even create a vision of what it looks like. Okay, so the vision of what that looks like, that comes first. Then once you see the vision, next comes the feeling, the emotion. What does it feel like to have this? And then once we combine vision with feeling, and we do the work to maintain that vision, and we do the work to maintain those feelings of abundance, of love, of wealth, of health, once we maintain the feeling, because the feeling is your momentum, the feeling is what brings things into manifestation. Okay, but a lot of times it's hard to feel the manifestation because your thoughts are not in alignment with what you're seeking to manifest. And a lot of times it is your thoughts that are creating your feelings. How you are thinking is determining how you are feeling. Okay, so it's a continuous work. Babe, hopefully you've been able to get everybody's name in there. I think before we move on, because this next part is a couple of pages, so I think before we move on, we should do the drawing for the book, if you're there. All right, I don't know where he went. Sound like he went to the bathroom or something, y'all. So with that being said, I'm gonna go ahead and keep going with this read. The next part of this chapter is called The Value of Money. And remember, we are still in chapter 3, which is discussing clearing the way, the cosmic scheme. So what we're talking about is releasing certain beliefs that block us from the idea of abundance, true wealth, and that block us from the manifestation of it.